To you, Brother Solomon, do you think that churches in South Africa should, or do you think South Africa should move to a more legislated regulation of churches to protect the rights of worshippers?
You know, I just realized that I actually have Woolies water here.
Yeah.
I think we need to give some of this Bushiri and all these guys, they need to drink this water. Maybe they would come back to their senses. You know, regulation is I think it's a very sensitive part. You know, when you say regulation, it's a very controversial discussion right now. Who should regulate? What is regulation? What are you going to regulate? You know, and those are the big questions. And we looked at a bit of a history of the Roman Empire earlier on, and how, you know, the contradiction between the state and the church. When the state gets involved in the affairs of the church, there's always going to be a problem. You know, because the church in itself is a different sphere. It's the same thing that the church cannot get directly involved in the affairs of the state. You could advise, you could give guidance and all that, but once there is that contradiction, then it becomes a problem. But I feel we have a problem, and we have to acknowledge that we have a problem, that people are being captured. Some pastors and prophets are trying to capture people more and more. Every day they bring in new ways of trying to do that. So how do we deal with the problem? Could we as a church now sit down and actually say, let's try to devise ways that we could deal with this problem without really allowing the government to regulate us? Because the government is worried because they want to regulate you because some of the stuff that some of these guys that are capturing the church is criminal, is legal. And that's totally outside of the church. When it's criminal, it's not in the jurisdiction of the church anymore. So there's a need for that. But I think for me, I don't even think we have an answer to it right now. I don't think the government has an answer to it. I don't think the church has an answer to it. But I just feel we need to keep conversing. But we have a problem that we really need to go to God and say, how do we deal with it? And that way, I think, whichever way, if we're going to self-regulate, or we allow the government to regulate us, or we really take responsibility for things, and that way it's going to be better.